Have you held any stock in any companies founded in China?
I don't believe so.
Well, you do own stock in a company known as Elite Depot, don't you?
I think that's, I'll have to get back to you. I think it's a law firm and it's a company out of Singapore.
Okay, well, no, the company out of Singapore, which is owned by Elite Depot, is the Shein Company, which was founded in China.
That company operates out of Taiwan.
Well, they changed their headquarters from China back in 2022 to Singapore. You own stock in the company that owns Shein.
George is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. I want to first talk about the significant role that the FBI plays in combating the national security threats posed by our nation's greatest threat, our nation's greatest security threat, China and the Chinese Communist Party. It's a fact that China is America's most significant national security threat, isn't that correct?
I would say so, sir.
And you would agree with me that China wants to dominate the United States of America?
I think that's largely their plan.
And they want to dominate the world, both militarily and economically, isn't that correct?
I think so.
And sir, you've been FBI director for the last, 8 months?
7 months, yes.
7 months, and during that time, have you held any stock in any companies founded in China?
I don't believe so.
Well, you do own stock in a company known as Elite Depot, don't you?
Which one, sorry?
Elite Depot. You own stock.
I think that's, I'll have to get back to you. I think it's a law firm and it's a company out of Singapore.
Okay, well, no, the company out of Singapore, which is owned by Elite Depot, is the Shein Company, which was founded in China, correct?
That company operates out of Taiwan.
Well, they changed their headquarters from China back in 2022 to Singapore for tax purposes, but it's owned by a Chinese billionaire. I think his name is Charlie Zhu, and you own stock in the company that owns Shein.
Which I disclosed during my confirmation process.
You certainly did. And now, do you still hold that stock in that Chinese company?
Pursuant to the Department of Justice, who reviewed my material that was submitted during my confirmation process, I was able to hold certain stocks, and they made the decision.
You still hold the stocks that you have? You still hold on to these Chinese stocks, these stocks in this Chinese company?
I disagree that it's a Chinese company, but I was in the DOJ, when you're appointed, makes a call on what you can and can't possess.
Well, now, let me ask you this. Chinese companies steal trademarks, they produce counterfeit products and sell them over the internet on platforms such as Shein. They steal intellectual property. They steal data from American companies. And to me, it seems inconsistent with your role as FBI director that you would own stock in a company that is based in a country that is the nation's premier national security threat. It's like you are putting your own financial security over the security of the nation.
I disagree with that characterization.
Well, I think the American people look at it like it's a classic situation of the fox guarding the hen house. If the FBI is charged with investigating espionage, economic espionage by companies controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and you are the director of the FBI, you've got a conflict of interest.
Sir, I would just show if there's any intimation that I'm
Why
against.
are you holding on to this stock?
It wasn't a decision I made.
And it's valued at up to $5 million as of when you last reported, correct? $5 million in
No,
stock?
I don't follow it.
You don't follow it, but you're still making money off of it.
I don't have any money off of anything.
Well,
What I have done,
Trump's trade policies directly impact the value of that Chinese stock. Won't you agree with that?
which trade policy? I'm not a trade expert.
Okay, all right.
But I want to tell you
Play
this.
crazy on me today. Let me ask you this question. Why are you hiding pedophiles? Why are you shielding pedophiles? Why are you protecting pedophiles?
That is maybe the most offensive thing you could say to me, given the numbers.
Well, you have not released
Given
the
the
Epstein
numbers
files.
of pedophiles.
You are aware of the
we have
Epstein
arrested-
client list that was published in the 18,000
The gentleman
emails
has
released?
expired. The gentleman yields
Can I just-
back.
Can you answer the
Can I
question?
just respond?
Of course, the gentleman can answer the question.
Since I took over the FBI, there has been a 33% increase.
Sir,
It is in regards to some reporting around a periodic transaction report that you had filed earlier, a periodic transaction report that you had filed earlier this year. So this is in July, pursuant to the ethical obligations as a senior executive official. You remember filing that in July?
Yes.
So in that report, as best as I can surmise, you disclosed that you divested $100,000 or more in a variety of different stocks, which I presume was pursuant to the ethics agreement that you negotiated with the Department of Justice. In that same report, there's a disclosure regarding purchases of two different transactions. So between $15,000 to $50,000 in a national coffee house chain and between $50,000 to $100,000 in a semiconductor company on May 9th and May 12th. Are those transactions that you're doing personally, or are these through a stockbroker, or are these transactions that you're handling yourself?
So how they happen is I submit proposals under DOJ guidance to say, hey, I would like to trade this or that, and they run their review, and the FBI runs a review, and then they come back and say yes or no, and then I make the transaction.
Is there a reason that you decided to make the purchases into those two companies?
Generally speaking, before I got this job, I was, trading stocks, but not a lot, like most people, and I just follow certain industries, and I thought they would be a good investment.
So the reason why I ask, right, because you had divested in other companies, and I presume that wasn't because there were actual conflicts. It's just that you wanted to avoid an appearance of impropriety.
It was both.
Both, but not all of the companies were conflicts.
Whatever they make
divested from.
I don't make the call, they make the call.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess my point would be, the reason why I ask is, why I said it's not a gotcha question, I have for years led an effort here in Congress to try to ban members of Congress, senior executive officials, from trading stocks. And it's bipartisan in nature. We're working really hard to get that done, Republicans and Democrats. And you can understand, I think, given your role, given the nature of the position that you hold as the leader of the largest law enforcement agency in our country, that divesting entirely, not doing day trading now, I think would be something that would be in the interest of the American people. So I just would hope you would consider that.
At a tense House Judiciary Committee hearing, Congressman Hank Johnson thought he had caught FBI Director Kash Patel in a major conflict of interest. But what happened next completely changed the direction of the exchange. Patel didn't hesitate. He pushed back immediately, correcting Johnson in real time and turning a routine oversight hearing into one of the most talked-about confrontations on Capitol Hill. The room was already tense when Congressman Hank Johnson leaned into his microphone. The House Judiciary Committee hearing on September 17 was supposed to focus on FBI oversight, national security, and questions surrounding political influence inside federal law enforcement. But Johnson had something else in mind. He wanted answers about Kash Patel's financial connections. And more specifically, Patel's ownership stake in a company Johnson described as Chinese-owned. Johnson began carefully, laying the groundwork before delivering what he clearly believed was a damaging accusation. He referenced public financial disclosures and questioned whether the FBI director could remain impartial while holding stock connected to a foreign-linked business. Then Johnson made the key claim. He said the company Patel owned shares in was Chinese-owned. The implication was obvious. At a time when Washington is obsessed with Chinese influence, espionage fears, and foreign interference, accusing the FBI director of profiting from a Chinese company was politically explosive. The hearing room instantly became quieter, lawmakers looked up, staffers stopped typing, and Kash Patel responded almost immediately. Patel shot back. "The company is based in Singapore," was a sharp interruption that changed the energy in the room. Johnson tried to continue pressing the point, but Patel was visibly ready for the confrontation. He argued that Johnson's characterization was flat-out wrong and accused the congressman of misleading the committee by labeling the company as Chinese-owned without acknowledging where it was actually headquartered. Patel repeated the point several times: Singapore, not China. That distinction may sound small to casual viewers, but in Washington politics, it matters enormously. Because the accusation wasn't simply about owning stock, it was about alleged ties to China, and Patel clearly understood the political danger immediately. The exchange quickly became heated. Johnson attempted to continue questioning Patel about possible foreign influence concerns and whether the public should worry about financial conflicts involving America's top law enforcement officials, but Patel refused to back down. He defended both the investment and his ethics disclosures, insisting everything had been properly reported and reviewed. Then came the broader political undertone hanging over the hearing. Kash Patel has become one of the most controversial figures in Washington. To supporters, he's a Trump-aligned reformer determined to expose corruption inside federal agencies. To critics, he represents the politicization of law enforcement and intelligence institutions. That divide was impossible to ignore during the hearing. Republicans on the committee largely appeared comfortable with Patel's explanation. Democrats, meanwhile, continued raising concerns about transparency, foreign business connections, and accountability, and the viral moment spread almost instantly online. Clips of Patel correcting Johnson began circulating across social media within hours. Conservative commentators framed the exchange as Patel completely dismantling a misleading accusation. Liberal critics argued the larger issue remained unresolved, whether senior officials should hold investments connected to companies operating heavily in Asia at all. But the biggest reason the moment exploded online was simple: it captured the increasingly hostile atmosphere in Congress. Modern hearings are no longer just fact-finding sessions, become political battlegrounds designed for viral clips, cable news segments, and social media warfare. And this exchange checked every box. A dramatic accusation, an immediate rebuttal, foreign influence concerns, and two lawmakers refusing to give an inch. By the end of the hearing, nobody in the room seemed to have changed their position. Johnson continued signaling concerns about ethics and financial transparency. Patel continued insisting the accusations were inaccurate and politically motivated. But for viewers watching at home, the confrontation highlighted something bigger than just one stock investment. It showed how quickly discussions involving China, or even allegations involving China, can escalate into headline-making political fights in Washington, especially when the person sitting in the witness chair is the FBI director. And judging by the reaction online, this confrontation is unlikely to disappear anytime soon, because in today's political climate, even a single word, Chinese-owned versus Singapore-based, can completely reshape the narrative. For more political hearing breakdowns, congressional clashes, and viral Capitol Hill moments, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next major showdown.